What if a slasher movie just followed the killer the whole time? That's what In a Violent Nature is all about. About a dude who just comes out of the ground and then starts stalking and killing everybody. So get your barf bags ready. His name is Bootleg Johnny, and he's looking for his mama's bracelet. This dude just walks forever, and we watch him, dude. That's like 60% of the movie. And then he comes across a dead animal caught in a couple of bear traps, some police officers yelling at a guy, "Stop doing that shit." Traps all over the place. Some tourist is gonna step in one. He gets into somebody's house, they have a gun. I guess he doesn't care about guns. Johnny is a bullet sponge. He just takes his gun and throws it outside and chases this guy in the woods for a bit. And that dumbass actually walked into one of his own bear traps. He was crying, "Ah!" Then Johnny comes up and you see the hand come towards him, and that's it. And you're like, well, what the hell happened? But you see his bloody hat, and he's out of focus, dead in the background. So that kill's done. So then he keeps walking out throughout the night, and then he sees a couple of campfire people telling his ghost story.
Johnny fell from the tower. His neck snapped as soon as it hit the ground. And when the dust settled, Johnny's dad was dead. A couple of the execs from the company showed up to the camp, and every single person was dead. Huge fucking lumberjacks torn to pieces.
We got all the backstory exposition from that whole fireside chat. Get a glimpse of that sort of like the final girl, and then one guy goes out for a smoke, and he gets hacksawed across the head, and the top part of his head falls off. He doesn't seem as strong as Jason, because Jason would have got that done in 2 seconds. But that's not the also interesting part. He got dragged all the way to like a fire station. Ranger station? Whatever the fuck that they have out in the woods. The dude's missing the top of his head. I think he's dragging it by the head and he's carrying the other part like a football or bowling ball. And this part actually got some laughs out of my crowd. They're like, well, how'd he open the door? He used the guy's top of his head to break it open like a rock. Johnny is still walking around pretty maskless at this point. And we heard the whole backstory about him falling out of the tower. And I think they put on the fire mask, so they acted like he was playing up there. So he has an affinity for like these like fire max, and he looks and it's like, oh, it's like a old-timey fire museum thing. They have old sort of hooks and axes, and then he falls in love with like, oh, that's the max from old time firefighters. I'm gonna throw this body against it and start wearing it. Now Johnny is like fully suited up. He has his mask, his hooks, and he's on the prowl. Then he stops and goes, oh, I got a couple of skinny dipping lesbians on my hand. Then he goes like underwater, and I guess he could breathe or walk underwater too. And he goes up to the unsuspecting girl and drowns her. All this happens in like real time too, because I even heard the director was like, oh, we're going to have an underwater camera and everything, but didn't have any money for it. The other one went up the mountain to go do yoga, so then he goes after the yoga girl next. This yoga kill probably gets an award of some type for all the effects and Terrifier 2 levels it has. I mean, he does like a Mortal Kombat fatality. He gets a hook through her stomach, turns her around, hooks her head, and pulls her head right through the hole in his stomach. So much like the bedroom kill in Terrifier. It's so brutal, you're like, God damn, is this ever gonna end? What'd she do to you? At this point, it's like, finish him. And it's like snapping her neck and pulling it through. It's amazing that she was even able to stand. I mean, he severed the spinal cord, and he's like standing up and pulling her head through. It's almost like she's giving birth to her own head. Nuts. Pretty ironic. She wanted to do yoga, and he twisted her pretty much into a pretzel. Dumped her off the cliff, and she didn't even fall down all the way. She should have just slid down. Right? When he's walking up, I'll be like, fuck it, I'm taking my chances with the cliff. Johnny finds the girl who's wearing the necklace that he's looking for. He's like, oh man, I'm gonna get that by chopping her head off. But he's swinging a miss. She ends up sore beating the final girl, and the guy saves her by shooting a shot at him. Johnny seems just to eat bullets, and the guy shot him again and put him down for a bit, but that's where he messed up. He should have went for the head like Thanos says. Because he gets up, Johnny throws an axe and gets that guy in the head. And then his buddy gets smashed in the face with a boulder.
Please, help!
At nighttime, they were able to shoot him and get him down, and they almost shot him in the face, but he popped up and grabbed the gun at the last second. Everybody else ran off, and he broke the guy's back, and then he, dragged him to an old school, log splitting machine, and they put him in there, chopped off his arm, then chopped off his head. Brutal, because he was still sort of alive, but when it was happening. This character is the only one with some backstory, because he goes oh, he heard from his daddy how he used the bracelet and then trapped this fool underground all these years ago. Will this be our final guy? No, he got his head chopped off. And his back was broke. He wasn't going to do anything. The friend group is all but dead. I think except 2 are still alive. The girl and the guy gets an axe in the head.
Son of a bitch! We're right!
Johnny axed that guy 50 times. Even to her, damn, dude, I'm just going to leave, all right? Take that bracelet. And, yeah, I think that's where Johnny left, because they think he got the bracelet. She got picked up by a truck, and they went to the hospital. And that's it. The ending goes on for 15 minutes. You don't need that. She got away.